Namaste children, welcome to SSC class, and today we are going to learn the chapter 17 that we have already started in our previous class, that is major religions. Children, previously we have learned about Islam, in which we have learned about Muhammad Sahab, Prophet Muhammad, the founder of Islam, the principle of Islam and the similarity between Islam and Sikhism. In our previous class, we have already learned about Sikhism also, in which we have learned about the gurus of Sikhism, the Guru-Shishya relationship in Sikhism. In that, we have already learned that the founder of Sikhism was Guru Nanak, and how they devote their life, they devote themselves for the Sikhism. Today we are going to learn about Bhakti movement. Children, Bhakti means total dedication. It means total submission to God. So Bhakti movement started in medieval period, and it means complete submission and devotion to God. Bhakti movement started during the medieval period, but the roots can be traced back to Vedic period, we can say. Initially, Bhakti sons believed in the worship of God. So which kind of God? In which kind of God they believe? They believe in formless God, means Nirankar Brahma, means oneness of God also we can say. That Bhakti sons believe in the oneness of God. They also believe in the absolute power of God, that is omnipotent and omnipresence. Omnipresent means all time, everywhere, anywhere, God is present. So these Bhakti sons believe in the oneness of God, in the absolute power of God, and not only this, they also believe that God is omnipresent as well as omnipotent. Omnipotent means God always present each and everywhere. He is absolute power, and not any other power can be compared with the power of God. That's why it is absolute power. So this is the principles behind the Bhakti sons, that they believe in oneness of God, they believe that God is omnipotent, they believe that God is omnipresent. So let's see that whenever this Bhakti movement started, first of all, it was started in South India, Tamil region, during 7th and 8th century. It preached devotion and loving relationship with devotee and God to attain moksha. Now one more thing, the Alvars and the Nayanas. In the previous chapter we have already learned that the devotee of Vishnu, the devotees of Vaishnavism, those were called Alvars, and the devotees of Shaivism, means Lordship, they were called Nayanas. They condemned rigidity of casteism and taught the lesson of love, devotion and equality. All over India, the Bhakti sons used local languages to preach their messages. In this lineage, we can call the name of Sant Kabir. Sant Kabir composed padas and dohas in the praise of the Supreme God in the local language. He preached a lots of things. Sant Kabir was not very much educated, or you can say he was not properly educated, and the only word he used to learn or write in his lifetime was Rama, R-A-M-A, Rama. So that he composed padas and dohas in the praise of supreme power, that is God. And it is said that when he died, his Hindus and his Hindu followers as well as Muslim followers started fighting among them for the last ritis, for the last rituals. They started fighting between them for the body of Sant Kabir. And the result, when they lifted the cloth covering the body, they find only flowers spread there. So this is the story behind Sant Kabir, who was a great religious sant or bhakti sants, we can say. So it was very first brought to the South India in Tamil region, the bhakti movement. Then the bhakti sants used the local languages to preach their messages. Now what is the important thing about these bhakti sants? They discard the rituals and sacrifices, and they also create oneness with God. They always focus that like parents, the Almighty is also our parent, and they never demand or they never expect any material from us to make them happy. So that these sons preach that God is one, and like our father and mother, the God parents the whole world. So that they discarded rituals and sacrifices at that time used to offer God. Ramananda took the ideas of bhakti to the north. It was Sant Ramanand who took these bhakti ideas to the north. And Sant Kabir and Ravidas were two disciples of this Sant Ramanand. He worshipped Sri Ram with complete devotion and love. Kabir and Ravidas, belonging to different castes, were his disciples. Bhakti sants opposed the caste system. The very good thing that advantages at that time the society took advantage of these thoughts, and it was that the bhakti sants opposed the caste system. It was very much difficult to remove caste system and to make people understand about the difficulties, about the bad effects of this casteism. And those were the bhakti sants who opposed this caste system and show mirror to the society at that time. Not only this, they also opposed to the superstitions and narrow-mindedness. Kabir Das and Nanak both strongly preached on Hindu-Muslim unity. Many legends are prevalent about the birth, life and death of Kabir, one of India's most quoted poet and mystic. It is believed that he was actually the son of a Brahmin widow who abandoned him, that he was founded by a Muslim weaver named Neeru, who adopted the boy and taught him the skill of weaving. So he was never formally educated that I taught you just now, that the only word he learned to write in his lifetime was Rama, R-A-M-A, Rama. The worship of Ram was made popular by Tulsidas, the another Bhakti Sant, Sant Tulsidas in north. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu belonged to Bengal, Odisha. So he brought the Bhakti ideas to Bengal and Odisha, was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then again comes Meera, the name of Meerabai, that is very famous in Rajasthan. She belongs to Rajasthan and she was a great devotee of Lord Krishna. Then Narsimha Mehta, who belonged to Gujarat, Surdas, who belonged to UP, Uttar Pradesh, were the ardent devotees of Lord Krishna. They worshipped Krishna with love, devotional songs and dances also. Caste and creed were strictly set aside. So these were the Bhakti sants who create an environment of full devotion. Means a devotion to God, you can say a full submission to God, and to make the society good, to make the society far from superstitions, casteisms and bad evils of the society were removed at that time. So this is all about the Bhakti sants. So the next we are going to learn about, that is Sufism. So we have already learned Islam, then we learn about Sikhism, then again we have learned about this Bhakti movement, and this time we will learn about the Sufism. Children, first of all, let me explain you what is the meaning of Sufism. Sufism was inspired by Quran. So what is Quran? Quran is a holy book of, yes, right, it is the holy book of Islam religion. That is Quran. And Sufism is inspired by Quran and the belief in one God only. So which God? The one God, it means Allah, because it is inspired by Quran. The word Sufi is derived from Suf. Suf means wool. Why this called so? As the mystic wore a long woolen coat. So Sufi sons. In this Sufism, we can also find some sons there who used to wear a long coat made of wool. That's why it is called Sufi, Sufi sons. Sufis believe that all human beings are children of one God. So like other religions, we can also see here that it also believed in the oneness of God. Now it is different thing that they believe in Allah, the one God, and in Islam we have seen that Prophet Muhammad as his disciple. But here in Sufism we can see that they believed that all human beings are children of one God and love for humanity is the love for God. Means totally this religion emphasizes on the values of humanity because it says that love for humanity is the love for God. Means whatever we give to others, whatever good things, kindness, values we provide for others, all these things come for the devotion of God. They believe in Guru-Shishya relationship. As we have learned before that in Sikhism as well as in Islam also we have seen that there is a relationship between Guru and Shishya. Likewise, in this religion also, in Sufism also, they believed in Guru-Shishya relationship. Guru was known as Peer. So the Guru as well as Peer in the Sufism, and Shishya, disciple, that is known as Murid. Means Guru is known as Peer and the Shishya or disciple is known as Murid. And the Peer lived in Khanqah. So the place where this Peer used to live called Khanqah or Hermitage Ashram along with their disciples also. So in Hinduism, we have learned that there were mathas or temples we can say where Guru used to live with their disciples. But here we are finding the Khanqah as well as Hermitage Ashram where this Peer with their murids used to live. Some of the practices among Sufis were similar to Hinduism or Buddhism. For example, that is penance. Penance, what is penance? Penance means to make realize, or we can say whatever fault done to make it realized, that is penance. Then the second thing is fasting. Then comes pranayam, good deeds and belief in equality. Again comes the good things of this religion. All are just similar to Hinduism. Those were penance, fasting, pranayam, good deeds and believe in equality among all, without any distinction of colors, caste or creed. Sufism propagated that God is Haq and the universe is Khalaq. There is no existence of anybody except God. Means here also, it also focused on the absolute power of God. Means God is one and He is the absolute power, and we must devote to our God, and there is no existence of anybody except God. Now let's know about the 5 orders or silsilas of Sufism. The 3 famous silsilas. Silsilas means groups. So there are many groups in Hinduism also, as we have seen before, that there are a sect of Buddhism, then we can say Jainism. Sikhism is also come from Hinduism, but in here we can see orders or silsilas of Sufism. Means other groups of different Sufi sons. Those were Chishti order that was established by Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti. Then comes Suhrawardi order that was established by Sheikh Bahauddin Zakaria. Then comes Naqshbandi order, means Naqshbandi group, and it was established by Sant Khwaja Baqi Bitta. So these were the three most famous sons of Sufism who established their orders or groups in different ways. So three famous are here, that were Chishti order, Suhrawardi order and Naqshbandi order. Some famous Sufi sons were Baba Farid, Bakhtiyar Khaki, Nizamuddin Aulia, Sheikh Salim Chishti, Amir Khusro, etc. Children, do you remember when we are learning in the Mughal imperism, we have learned that Akbar went to the Dargah of Sheikh Salim Chishti to pray to Sheikh Salim for Salim as his son. Not only this, he kept the name Salim or Shekhu Baba on the name of Sheikh Salim Chishti, and this name he kept to his son Jahangir. He always called his son Jahangir Shekhu Baba because he prayed for his son to Sheikh Salim Chishti, who was a Sufi son. So this is a story of a small story that we have already learned in Mughal imperism. So these are the Sufi sons given in our book. So this religion is inspired by Quran. So this is all, children. Thank you.